Faith, the restorer of our communion with God. Introduction. The Virgin Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus, showed us how to submit unconditionally to the designs of the Holy Spirit with the words, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. A different outcome took place in the temple of the Lord when the priest Zechariah doubted, through his lack of faith, the divine designs that the angel Gabriel told him about. The outcome for not believing the angel's words and for not receiving the good news with faith was that God made him mute as a temporary sign of discipline. Jesus, the Son of God, when confronted in the Garden of Gethsemane with laying down his life and with the suffering of the cross that will come soon to fulfill his Father in heaven will for our redemption, and being tempted by Satan to save his life, choose to follow God's will with the words, "Father, if you're willing, remove this chalice from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. These dramatic life events repeat somehow in our lives constantly, and we get to choose Satan's will or God's will to save us. Defining faith. For the Apostle Paul of Tarsus, faith is a belief in the heart. Romans 10:9. Paul's understanding of faith involves a transformation of one's worldview, a relational dependence of Christ, and a commitment to living a life of loyalty to Him. Faith stems from a believing heart in Jesus. It was this faith that Christ found not, but came to bring it to a world weary of Pharisaic legalism and fine-spoon philosophy. Thomas C. Hall, 1894, The Faith of Jesus, page 251. Since faith is a belief centered in the heart and not in the mind, it escapes our understanding and becomes a mystery beyond human comprehension. It can only be understood through divine revelation and trust in God. Jesus also pointed out that having inherent life, the unwavering belief in a faithful heart can produce remarkable outcomes. www.gcu.edu. In Matthew 17:17, Jesus rebuked his disciples for their little faith. Again, in Mark 2:3-5, Jesus also implied that a life of sin makes faith in God difficult for the sinner, but faith moves God, as it did with the Son of God that also healed the paralyzed man. Faith and reason do not blend well. Mark Hansard, in 2018, in his article Faith and Reason Part 3, Aquinas states that St. Thomas Aquinas maintained that reason should be kept autonomous from faith. This is because intellectual inquiry needs evidence, and evidence is adjudicated only through reason. Reason is separate from faith because faith is moved by love of God and grace of God, and reason is natural. For Aquinas, then, the things of faith surpass human reason because they are supernatural in origin. Reason investigates reality in itself, while faith investigates all things as they are related to God. Another very influential historical figure, Saint Augustine of Hippo, believed that grace, a gift of God, is necessary for through faith. Augustine argues that we should believe in order to understand. Understanding is the reward of faith. Therefore, seek not to understand that you may believe, but believe that you may understand. Jesus, the faultless example of a life lived in perfect faith. Jesus may thus be said to be a perfect example of faith by living the life of faith, by walking the way of faith before us. He has left us an example that we should follow his steps. James M. Campbell, 1907, Jesus, an Example of Faith, pages 208 and 209. Faith is not a passive belief. It is meant to be lived out in one's life, influencing all actions and relationships. While growing to become an adult, and even though his consciousness and self-identity as the Son of God grew day by day, Jesus humbly submitted to the authority of his earthly parents, Joseph and Mary. Luke 2:41-52. And faithfully awaited the beginning of his ministry of redemption of humanity, increasing in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man under the loving care of his holy family. Faith is a mystery because it escapes our understanding and does not appear in our lives through mental reasoning, but stems from the heart instead, from a pure heart full of grace, as a strong belief and a divine certainty that arrives as a gift from God, and that coming from the omnipotent will of our Father in heaven also comes with his power attached and loving wisdom that can command our natural environment and our fallen natures, as Jesus showed us many times during his ministry, and many saints also after his redemption.